Yeah. Well, let me go ahead and throw this out there, too, because that statement is correct. I mean, if you ever listen to an Andrew Luck cadence versus a Drew Brees cadence, it's almost like going from Pee Wee to the NFL. It really is. Now, that doesn't mean that Luck is a bad quarterback or he's simple or he can't read defenses. I believe he can. But when Drew Brees calls a cadence, he calls out the O-line assignment. He calls out the running back assignment, the wide receiver assignment, and all the audibles that could potentially happen in the huddle. That can be difficult if you go from, look, we're running this play, and if that doesn't work, then we're going to this play that we practiced for 3 months now as the backup, to a Drew Brees offense led by Sean Payton, which has an entire chart that says, if this doesn't work, then we're going to here, here, and here, but if that doesn't work, then we'll go here, here, and here instead. That's a much different world. I mean, I can understand the slight confusion, but my retort to that is you're in the NFL. You're a grown man. If you can't study for this and you can't figure this out, you don't need to be here. Yeah. Well, I think that's one of the struggles that we're going to run into, and maybe that works out to Fleener's advantage. Maybe by game 4 or 6, he's got it. I mean, it clicks, and he becomes the Pro Bowl level wide receiver tight end that they've been looking for. But right now, I mean, I think if Sean Payton had the ability, I think he would have put Josh Hill back in there already. He just doesn't have the ability. Yeah. I think Craig Robertson is undeniably the best free agency pickup that we've had in a couple of years. I don't mean that in offense to anybody else we've picked up. I still think a lot of other players are talented. But in terms of production and what he's doing on the field, I'm beginning to question if when Donnell Ellerbe gets back, who is a better coverage linebacker, if Ellerbe even gets his spot back, because Robertson's playing that well from the will position. He's playing lights out, and not just him. I put this on Twitter, and it got a lot more support than I thought it would, but I didn't think a lot were giving the support, so this is why I said it. But Kenny Vaccaro is playing at a Pro Bowl level, and Cam Jordan is playing at a Pro Bowl level right now. The thing with the defense is, one, they got to get healthy, and two, they just got to all come together as a unit, as a young unit who finally gels. And, man, they're going to be all studs. There's a lot of studs. I mean, Robinson is still blowing my mind. Kenny Vaccaro is back to being that roaming, just scary safety that nobody wants to have across from him on the line, whether you're a receiver or a tight end. And Cam Jordan is, man, nobody gives him the love he deserves. That guy blows up the run, bull rushes for the pass. Even when nobody's helping him, he's giving 110% every play. So those three guys, man, I'm giving it out to him right now. Uh-huh. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, my only thing is, why did it take so long to get it back? I mean, and a good example, and I said it on Twitter Sunday, and you laugh, but I'm going to have to make you do it. This is one of the first games that Jarris Byrd was not lining up 400 yards in the backfield. Jarris Byrd had a good game. Didn't have a great game, but he made some really strong plays this past Sunday. And I think you got to give Jarris Byrd some credit. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I mean, whatever it takes. I mean, in the end, that's what matters. I mean, that's more important than anything. Now, I will say this in defense of, and this is going to be, I guess, my theme for the night. In defense of Jarris Byrd as it comes to turnovers, keep in mind when he was in Buffalo, he had that defensive line that was one of the best in the NFL. Constant harassment and pressure. I mean, Mario Williams in his prime, they had defensive tackles that were just to dream and die for. That's one of the reasons he was able to get so many of those deep field, interceptions and stuff. Not saying he can't do that with us, but I think it's wrong to expect that type of thing from him right now. Now, I will say he did have a big impact. For example, that the Victor Cruz fumble. He did not put his hands on the ball to make that happen, but he put his position perfectly to where the backside defender could come and pop that ball out. Had he played it the wrong way and allowed Cruz to go inside to the middle of the field, that fumble doesn't happen. But because he forced it outside, the ball's toward the sidelines, you can't see the backside defender because of the angle. Cruz was left open and made the fumble from the hit. That fumble should be also in. If it was hockey, Jarris Byrd would have the assist on that fumble. So he's certainly making an impact and doing some really good things. At least he did Sunday. So I just wanted to make sure that you of all people gave him some credit because I know how you definitely called him out. So we got to make sure he knows you still love him. Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, it was. I said I was just thoroughly impressed with him, so I wanted to make sure I called him out. That defense, there's not much more we can say. That defense had a great game against a quick strike offense. Not one of the best offenses in the NFL, but a good offense. I mean, you can't say anything better than the fact that they did not allow an offensive touchdown. You really can't ask a defense more than that. Sure, they played bend, don't break. They gave up, 400 yards almost. I mean, they gave up a lot of yards, but in the end, that doesn't matter. Give up all the yards you want if you don't let them score touchdowns. Defense gets major credit from me, major props. I can only hope that they manage to replicate that and do the same thing to Matty Ice and the Julio Jones-led Falcons. Mm-hmm. Did I lose you, bud? Warriors going that as you get Victor Cruz, Sterling Sharp, and everybody. Week 2, definite test for the Saints' young defensive backs. The one benefit going against Atlanta, you got one big playmaker, and that's Julio Jones. Not a lot of other guys raising any eyebrows that way. I mean, sure, Matty Ice is an average, maybe above average quarterback. I probably am not going to give him as much credit as he might deserve. Obvious reasons, I'm biased. I can't help it. If there's one team I'm biased against, it's the Atlanta Falcons. I just am. I think everybody understands why I am. I just am. Matty Ice has actually got more yards than Drew Brees right now. He's throwing more accurate game than Drew Brees right now, but he's not better. I can't. Nope. Falcons got the spread. Brian, you back yet, man? Yeah, no problem. Yeah, I went ahead and I knew where you were going with it. Just kind of segued into the fact that they just played some pretty complete offenses, especially wide receiving core. And going against the Falcons, they really don't have that problem. I mean, the Falcons don't have a receiving group as talented as, of course, either the Giants or the Oakland Raiders. Now, they're not bad. You can't be bad offensively when you have a Julio Jones, but they're not deep. Yeah. Yeah. I said I went ahead and admitted that I am going to be slightly biased when it comes to discussing the Falcons. I mean, it's Falcons hate week. I just simply can't say enough bad things about the Falcons. Now, Matty Ice, I am one of the ones who will give him a little credit because he's a solid quarterback. He's maybe above average. He's not, a Drew Brees. He's not a Brady or a Rodgers. He's had a talented list of receivers, all pro level tight ends and all pro level receivers throughout his career in Atlanta, basically. So he's kind of had to deal with some things and been given some things that guys like Drew Brees have never been given. But I don't know if I worry as much about him throwing red zone interceptions simply because he hasn't done that a lot against New Orleans. The main thing I worry about is Julio Jones. If he plays a full healthy game, the only person I've seen really stop him and shut him down in recent memory is currently sitting injured for us for the next few weeks. Hopefully, P.J. Williams, assuming he passes the concussion protocols, he gets allowed to play. I was really impressed with how well he started off the game, against New York, albeit it was a very short start. I think, maybe shadow with Bird some, if double team him if you got to, because like I said, I'm not scared of the tight end or any of the other